Brilliant to catch up with Lexus ambassador and part of racing's royal family, I'm going to say, Kate Waterhouse. Kate, lovely to see you.
So good to see you. You're too kind, Richo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to be a Lexus ambassador as well. Just jumping in these incredible cars. You lucky girl.
I know. I feel very privileged that I get to drive around in such a beautiful car, and yeah, it's and be part of. I'm already part of racing, but to do it with Lexus as well is always fantastic. And when the Lexus Melbourne Cup comes around, it's always the best time of year and an exciting time for our family.
Tell us about your upbringing when you're born into a racing family. It's just a given when your mum's a Hall of Fame trainer, your dad's one of our leading bookies, your grandfather, well, both grandfathers, such an incredible imprint in racing. You're literally thrown into it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as a kid, I didn't know any different. I just thought that was the normal. And I guess the main difference was I'd go over to friends' houses and they would have, the movie channel on or normal TV, where our TV was always racing, nothing else. The radio was always racing. So I used to get surprised, and the other kids' mums knew the top 40 and knew all the songs, and I'd be like, oh, we don't have that at our house. It's Rose Hill, Randwick. And in the car, it was always, racing. So, yeah, it was just all I knew, really. And like, I have such fond memories growing up, even when I wasn't going to the races. It was mum every weekend getting ready for the races, and that whole, getting ready. And I would get ready as well. I'd have all her big furs on and the hats and the lipstick, and she would head off to the races and I'd be left with a big mess to clean up.
I didn't have the pleasure of meeting your famous grandfather, TJ Smith, but can you tell us a little bit about him, some things that we couldn't read in the history books?
We called him Grandpa Tom. Grandpa Tom was so much fun. Like, we always stayed at one of our grandparents' place every Saturday night. So we'd either stay at Grandpa Bill and Susie's house, or Grandpa Tom at Nina's. We called her Nina because she didn't want to be called Nana. So she was, instead of Valerie, she was Nina. And so we'd stay at Grandpa Tom or Nina's house, and the wives were, our grandmas were the strict ones, and our grandfathers were the tricksters, funny, larrikin type. So Grandpa Tom was always a lot of fun, and I just have fond memories. He'd sit in his chair and he'd have his book that he'd ring up all his owners every day and have a long chat to them, and I'd sit there and he'd give me the cartoons from the newspaper and I'd color them in, and he was always a lot of fun. And but he was strict as well. I remember when I would have been, my brother was 12 and I was 10, and I remember him going, Gay, why doesn't Tom have a job yet? I was like, oh God, he's 12. Does that mean I have to go get a job at
12? Did he talk a lot of racing to you?
Yeah, our whole family did. We didn't really know any different. That's all we ever really heard around, whether I was at my either grandparents' house, that was the talk around the dinner table, whether I was at mum and dad's house. And now as adults, I sit around with my brother, dad, mum. So it's sometimes it will be mum that says, can we stop talking odds and sods?
Really?
Yes, it'll be mum that puts a stop to it because she, wants to talk about other things. But even now, Dad and Tom, once they get going,
What about Grandpa Bill? You've mentioned him, who we lost recently, and a great loss, and our thoughts for everyone in the family. Gee, what a Leviathan. He's been in racing as well.
Yeah, he really was. And growing up, he's we just saw him as a big cuddly bear. Like, he was just so, he was the biggest larrikin of them all, and he was the one that will, let us stay up watching movies or on the Saturday nights that were with him till really late. And he was sneaking us chocolates where Grandma Susie would don't give them that, don't do that. And so he would put, I think we were really young kids, and Tom, a little boy, would put on Rocky and Rambo, and I'm sure they were way too older movies for that our age group to be watching, but we just thought it was so good. And he would take he was a tricks, he'd always do funny tricks. He had these fake teeth that he'd sometimes pull out and My grandma would be like, "Don't you do that." But yeah, they were a lot of fun.
Oh, isn't that brilliant? So when you're surrounded by so many racing people and growing up in racing, were you thinking, gee, I wouldn't mind making a career out of this? Or were you actually going the opposite way and think, I want to do anything but racing?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. I think I love racing, and I definitely love going, and I love following mum's horses and being part of it that way. But I think you've just got to have a passion where you
Mm.
live and breathe racing if you want to make a career in it. And my mum is up at 2:45 every morning. So as a kid, I wasn't. It wasn't something that I was completely passionate about. I loved fashion, and when I went to the races, it was more to do with that side of things that
Yeah.
I loved. I feel like I'm still part of the racing world in such a significant way, in the way that I get to go to races for work, I get to report on fashions, and I get to be there with my mum, with my dad, my brother who used to be there all the time. And then we're all there, but working in different capacities of the racing industry, which I find fascinating, that has so many different aspects of this racing world, that we all can be there working, and probably half the time not even see each other because we're in different parts of it. But I feel lucky that I've been able to still go down that road and be part of the racing industry that my family's part of.
What about her energy? I
Yeah,
just get amazed by her energy.
I know she has more energy than anyone else I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it really. Like, she goes to bed, she's up at 2:45 every morning, and she's going to bed at 9:30 at night. It's not, if that was me,
Right.
I would be asleep by 6 o'clock at night. I need my sleep. She
And the
really doesn't.
contrast between her personality and your dad's, it makes me
Yeah,
giggle as well. They're very different. They complement each other perfectly.
I know, they really do, don't they? I really think they bring out the best in each other. Um, yeah, I Dad's a lot quieter and very well read. My dad is. He's got a wealth of knowledge and reads everything about every topic. So you can talk to him for hours on anything, but he is quieter. The mum's the bubbly one that comes in and is all life of the party. And yeah, but they really complement each other really nicely.
And then, if you want the perfect example of that, is you were kind enough to put a camera on when you're watching the
Yeah,
latest Golden Slipper. I
yeah,
loved it. You're excited. Your kids are excited. Your
yeah.
mum's going, yay. And your dad, stone face.
Just completely, wasn't he? And it's probably the happiest I've seen him after a race. So like
Right.
he just gave a little smile at the end because he was so happy for mum. But yeah, that's his world every day, watching races, winning, losing. Like, it's normal for him. Where even my daughter was so into it.
Yeah.
She was, after that day, she was like, Mum, I want to be a jockey. And I was like, oh, and Mum is like, no.
No. No.
She's like, yeah, I wanted. She was like on the rocking horse, like getting up, pretending to be a jockey, and then she watched Ride Like a Girl, and she said, I just want to be like Michelle Payne.
Oh, isn't that great? Was it an easy transition for you to embrace this life of, model and fashion and presenter and all that? Is that natural for you? That sort of personality? You need be a little extroverted.
Yeah, like I do love it. I feel like my home time is very quiet. Like Luke and I love our home time, but I feel like our work is very social and out and about. Like I'm hosting events or at the races, and it's a lot of
Yeah.
you have to be sort of that bit extrovert. But when it comes to home time, Luke and I are very much homebodies and very quiet, so we do have those completely different worlds.
You're a proud Sydney girl, but during spring, you're always, all your whole memories must be of all spring carnivals always coming down to Melbourne for Melbourne Cup week. It's
Yeah.
so unique. For those of your mates outside of racing, how do you explain Cup week?
Yeah, it's like nowhere else. Like, I've been to races all around the world, England, Dubai, Hong Kong. Like, you can't quite describe the Melbourne Cup to anyone. you know, not only the racing and the fashion that's involved, but also you have the bird cage with the celebrities that you get to interview. Like it's like nothing else, really. And the fact that it's a public holiday, like it's just amazing. So it is hard to explain to people, and you sort of say to people, oh, you've been to races. Well, you haven't quite been to anything like this. So it's always such an exciting time in our household. As a kid, I was never allowed to go because my school wouldn't let me take the day off. So
Right.
I'd always go to Derby Day, and then I'd have to head back to school on the Monday. So once I finished school and got to go to the races, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing.
What are your memories of the brilliant win with Ferrante winning a Melbourne Cup, and your mum finally winning the great race, and that reaction
It was
in front
amazing.
of the grandstand when she's pumping pumping her fist to the cameras? It was just brilliant stuff.
It really was, wasn't it? I think you know, Mum's had such amazing success over the years, but nothing quite beats the Melbourne Cup. It's what everyone talks about. If you know nothing about racing in Australia, you know the Melbourne Cup. So I think it was something that it was always on the bucket list. And when she finally got there, you can't describe the feeling. It was incredible. And to be there with my mum, dad, Tom, my sister-in-law Hoda, my husband Luke, like for us to all be there was just amazing. You know, it's not often that we're all at the races together in the one spot, celebrated all together. It was, a moment I'll never forget. Yeah, so it was great.
It's incredible. Can you remember 400 metres out when Ferrante is running in and looks to be the winner? Can you remember the emotions?
Oh God, yeah. Like I was like, it's going to win. I don't like, but you always think it's just like, you know, so much can happen during a race. So, just the excitement when you know, down the straight was just incredible.
Well, you've got a big imprint in racing at the moment and in the fashion world. What are you wearing today?
Well, I did get dressed up for you. Normally I'm in my active wear. This is like the first time this week. I thought, well, it's a special moment being interviewed by Richo. So I, put on a suit jacket.
I won't lie to you. I've got my active wear. I've got my shop.
You know what? I don't have any shoes on, but I did put jeans on. It's with jeans, jacket with jeans.
You look stylish as always, Kate. Hey, mate, great catching up with you. We look forward to the Spring Carnival again and seeing you back on our televisions all around Australia.
I know, I can't wait. I've missed you guys. It was we got one race in at Rose Hill, and then it was no spectators, so I didn't get a chance to be out there with you guys and interview all the fashionable people on track. So I hope we're back soon and can get back in there, because it's such an exciting time of year.
Yeah, it won't be far away. And drive safe in your beautiful Lexus.
Thank you. We're actually heading to the farm today, so we're head down there and have a great time.
Love to your family. Good on you, Kate. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Richo. See you. Bye.
Bye.